Hey there everyone, this is Cloud Chief, and in today's video I kind of wanted to go over Anthem and my thoughts on the game. So far, if you're kind of looking over, I see that Anthem's just getting a lot of negative press and just seems like just a lot of people are really hating on it. And as someone who's been playing through it a little bit, I don't really get it, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit in this video. So, let's go over this by going over some pros and cons that really I've seen and just some friends of mine have really seen with the game. We'll start off with the pros. One is the flying mechanics. There is a lot of aerial combat and a lot of flying that you do in this game. You can literally fly around like Iron Man, and you basically feel like Iron Man flying around. The only thing that I can say about that is there are times where your flying is somewhat limited and you just need to land to cool down your Javelin, is what the mech thing that you get in is called. But it's honestly, I mean, it's fine. I feel it's well balanced. There are ways that you can, stay up in the air longer, and honestly, just flying around in your Javelin is just a ton of fun. I really like the maneuverability they gave you in this, and unlike a lot of other shooters, it really does kind of change the whole combat, considering you're getting much more 3 dimensions going on as opposed to just jumping or just being up high on a cliff, as opposed where you can kind of fly or hover and essentially wherever you want. So I think that's one of the big bonuses for this game. The next thing that I want to touch on is really the combat mechanics. I feel that Anthem has a very good mix of abilities and guns. I know from playing some other games, I'm gonna just kind of have to reference Destiny. Everyone else is referencing Destiny when comparing to this. In Destiny, you have your abilities, but they seem like more like accessories. Like, okay, here's my grenade, here's something that I'll throw out every once in a while. Where I feel in Anthem, you actually could just use nothing but your abilities and be doing ridiculous damage the whole time. I almost even kind of play that way in the little bit that I've been playing the game, is I kind of use my abilities, and then if they're down, I'll pull out my gun and then shoot a couple times and then go back to using my abilities again. They really did want to put a lot of emphasis on your Javelin, and again, I feel that's one of the strong points of the game, and I really like the abilities, plus just the amount of customization you can get in that, but we'll be getting in a little bit more into that in a minute. For anyone that's spent any amount of time on my channel, I'm sure you can see that I'm a fan of Final Fantasy XI. I know most of my subscribers are, into Final Fantasy XI. One of the big things that I love about that game is that you can basically pick any class and change to any class as soon as you go back in town. Well, you can do that in Anthem. There's currently 4 different types of Javelins you can use. Now, when you first start the game out, you only get 1, but as you level up, you are able to then pick another one, and then basically by the time you are max level, you will have all the Javelins and be able to customize them all. So, on one character, you can literally play every single class, which is definitely a plus in my opinion. I like the ability to switch between classes in any game, and I just like having that versatility and basically being like, oh, I want to play, like a backline job, or I'm doing more damage, or I want to play a frontline job tank, and that type of thing. That is definitely present here, and I just like the fact that I can, change to any class within the game. The next pro that I think is just the depth in customization. You can pretty much customize anything, and it allows you to have 5 loadouts per Javelin. So since there's currently only 4 Javelins in the game, that gives you up to 20 different loadouts across all the characters, giving you quite a bit of customization. And since you can pretty much fully customize each Javelin with different weapons, different abilities and stuff, it's very versatile and it's not very locked in. Whereas if I'm going to compare it to Destiny, when you level up and have a fully leveled class, yes, you can change abilities, but it's pretty much on rails. I look at abilities and I have 3 different abilities to pick from, whereas in this, I can pretty much equip any ability that you've obtained as an item drop for the Javelin. And since, again, like I said, you can mix and match, and you can even set up builds, it just makes it very easy to be like, okay, I'm going to go out and I want to play this way, so I'm going to set up this build. It's definitely something that I really like about the game. I like the customization and just like the flexibility that it lets me do what I want to do in game. The next point I'd like to bring up is that so far BioWare seems very responsive to the player base. They've already made updates and stuff basically based off of player feedback, so it definitely shows that they are listening to their players and they are actually care about their current player base, which is definitely a good thing. They've also been committed to free updates, which was actually kind of the thing that got me fed up with Destiny, was that you kept getting all these mini expansions and everything that they just wanted to try and pull more money out of you, and I really just didn't like that. I thought the amount of content they gave you per update that you were expected to pay for was honestly pathetic, which was one of the big reasons why I left Destiny, because I wanted to put my money where my mouth was. The fact that you buy this game and they're going to be giving you free updates for the next few months, no additional cost, is definitely in my mind a bonus. One of the big things that I like is that there is matchmaking for every single piece of content in the game. You can have the option to go in solo, you can go in making your own preformed group and go in, or you could literally get matched with anyone and everyone to go in and do events, even kind of what's, quest or dungeon or raid type stuff that's currently in the game. They have matchmaking, where Destiny has a decent amount of content that they feel doesn't need matchmaking. I don't, exactly get that, but I am definitely happy about that, and I'm really happy that they give you the option so that you can get matched up with people, or you can go do things solo if that's how you want to fly. Next thing that I want to bring up is lore. The lore in this game is actually pretty interesting, and it is actually in the game. I don't have to go to the company's website to pull up lore, unlike its main competitor you have to do, that I can actually get the lore in-game, so I'm not actually breaking immersion as I'm learning stuff about the game, which is much better, because I feel it's just very bad for me to have to go out to a website to learn about things that are happening in-game. Like I said, it just really breaks the immersion, so I definitely have to give praise to BioWare for, putting the lore in the game. Next point to go over is that, the world is pretty fun to explore. I actually like just free roaming a decent bit and checking things out. Often in games like this, and when I play Destiny, if I'm gonna go free roam, it's only because I have a specific mission in mind. Whereas in this game, I actually just have fun going in free roaming, flying around and trying out new abilities as if I'm locked in the last mission and things like that. So I definitely like exploring a lot more than I typically do than I've gotten that effect from other games. And it is just also very pretty. For a console, it is pretty graphically impressive. I definitely like all the colors and just how everything looks. It's a very pretty game, and like I said, I just have fun flying around. It's one of the best things I feel about Anthem. The next thing, and this is a personal opinion of mine, is that the game doesn't just hand you loot, and a lot of people have actually criticized this. I've even seen a meme where someone has other games, they have cookies raining from the sky, and then they're over here and they're like, oh, look, broccoli, and then, oh, look, a broccoli cookie. Well, personally, I like broccoli, but that's besides the point. But, honestly, I don't like when games literally just keep showering you with items, because you know what? Then it doesn't feel like you ever earned something. It's like, oh, okay, if I have cookies raining from the sky, and then, oh, I get another cookie, okay, I have another cookie among the thousands of cookies I already have. I actually like that it feels that the gear's earned, and then when I actually get something good, it feels actually rewarding. It doesn't just feel like, oh, I should be expecting something else. That's kind of like how I like my games. I like, though, the time and energy and effort I put into the game actually feels like I got something out of it. Not like, oh, I should have gotten 50 things already just because I put time in the game. No, it's because I've done these different things that I'm actually being rewarded for it. And for completing events and stuff, I am actually getting the rewards. So, some people might see this as a negative. I honestly like it as a positive. Like I said, I like to earn my things. I don't like them just to be handed to me, or because I put time in, I get an item. Like, I really don't like just literally how Destiny, you're just literally hitting, an RNG chance, and then you just happen to get an item or not. Like, if I go into a Crucible match, I could do really bad and get an exotic. I really don't like that. I like that, you know, I can do events and then I can actually get items from it. So that is one thing that I personally like about Anthem. So now let's move on to the cons or negatives of the game. First off is that there are long load times. Now, since unless you set it, you're always being, you know, match made, I feel that that somewhat contributes to the long load times. I would need to kind of test a little more and time the loading screens if you're doing like a private match as opposed to doing matchmaking, because there's no indication that you're being matched with other players as opposed to like Destiny or any other like shooter type game where it'll at least let you know, oh, we're currently, 2 of 6 players or whatever the ratio is while you're waiting for people to load. But the load times are, pretty long. So when you're back in town or city and you're walking around, you actually walk extremely slow. Like, extremely slow. You can even toggle to run, but I feel even when you're running, you're walking slower than I just would walk normally in real life. And it does get a little bit annoying, but that could be something very easily adjusted, and I hope that they do fix it. The next negative point to bring up is that there is actually some crashing, and I've even seen articles and people reporting where it's actually just not even just crashed the application, it's actually shut down their PlayStation so that when you power it back on, it is actually doing a hard drive check. This has obviously come to some software bugs, and hopefully they will iron those issues out because that's definitely not cool. But I haven't really experienced any crashing. I know a friend's experienced like issues with servers connecting at times, but that has been minimal. But it is something to note. Typically new games do have issues with crashing that typically gets patched quickly. So hopefully they'll find all those issues and then they will stop happening. Next negative I would say is that the HUD could use some improvements. Personally for me, one of the big things is, the nav point they will put on your screen where you're supposed to go, especially when you're transitioning an area, looks almost the same as other players that I'm playing with, which is kind of annoying. I feel it should at least be a different color or something else, because it's like, so I have the people I'm playing with, moving around me and I see that, but then when I'm looking where I'm supposed to be going and then they're moving, it often blends together and actually, can make it difficult to figure out where exactly I'm supposed to go. That is one thing I don't like, but again, that would be something very easily fixed. You could just make some color adjustments and a couple more improvements to the HUD, and that would take care of that problem. Hopefully that will be something that will happen. Next point is that I think they could do some improvements to the map. While the map, comes up detailed, the thing about it is there's no way to put any waypoint or marker or even ping for your teammates to say, oh, go here, or oh, there's a public event happening over here. Nothing. It's basically you can just look at the map and that's it. So there's definitely some improvements that they could do to the map that would make things, better and easier for players. So at the end of a mission, you'll get XP and they'll give you all these medals for things that you did. However, there's no way to actually view the medals to even know what the heck they are doing. So I think that is kind of annoying, and I'd like to see that. I'd like to be able to highlight a medal to know, oh, okay, I did that, and so I'm getting bonus XP for that or whatever. I mean, I see these medals pop up, but, it doesn't mean anything to me if I don't know what it is and what you have to do to get it. So it would be really nice if you could highlight it and see exactly what it is, and then maybe click a button that can tell you, okay, you got that for getting 10 kills, or you took out a squad of enemies without losing your shield, or I don't know, whatever the different medals could be. Just giving us some indication what the medals are would be great. And that's pretty much it. That pretty much sums up my pros and cons for Anthem. Like I said, so far, I'm probably maybe halfway through the game. I have some friends who have actually played through and beaten the game and are, starting to do endgame and stuff. I definitely have enjoyed the game. Like I said, I really like flying around. I feel they just nailed that. Just the ability to fly around and jump ability, it's just everything's very smooth. For the most part, I can fly and land my javelin exactly where I want. I have very tight controls. I can, move exactly where I want to, and it's very responsive. And that's something that you definitely want in your shooter games, especially a game that's, like I said, putting such a dynamic on that third dimension for movement. It is definitely really good, and I'm definitely enjoying the game so far. I'm not really sure why the game seems to be getting so much negative press just from like across the board. I'm seeing like maybe 1 out of 10 reviewers actually say they like it, where the other 9 are just knocking it, and in some cases like knocking it for good facial animations, which is like that you're giving it a knock because of that. But anyway, like I said, I really enjoy the game. I might be streaming it a little bit so people can check it out. If you definitely like shooters, it's a third-person shooter, not actually a first-person shooter. But if you like shooters and you like the idea of being able to fly around like Iron Man, you probably want to try and give this game a try despite all its negative press. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value out of it. And as always, may you have success in all you do.